back to the channel. So today our main focus is on process of research. In the previous video we discussed about the main concepts which are related to research, and if you're very first time to my channel, please go and watch my previous video for understanding the concept related to the main important concept related to research. Okay, so today we are going to discuss about the important process that is comes under research. So in my previous video I discussed about the nature of research, where I mentioned that research is a scientific and systematic process. For doing any effective research, as a researcher, we should follow some steps. Okay, so in this video, we are going to discuss all this systematic procedure of research in very detail. Okay, so the first step which comes under the process of research is formulating the research problem, selecting and properly defining the research problem. That is considered the foremost step of research. Okay, so in this first step, as a researcher, you should understand that, or you should remember that as a researcher, you should select a problem which is very passionate to you, because research is a long process. So if you're selecting a problem or if you're selecting a research area that is actually not in your interested area, it is going to be very difficult to complete your research process very effectively. So as a researcher, if you're selecting a research area, that should be in your interest and your passionate area. Okay. So initially the problem may be stated in a broad way. Later it can narrow down in operational term. Okay. Say for example, as a researcher, I need to find out what leads to job satisfaction. So here I am just generalizing, or I am just stating my research problem in general way. I am not narrowing down in operational term. Okay. So usually two steps are involved in formulating the research problem. First one, understanding the problem thoroughly. Second one, rephrasing it into meaningful term from an operational or analytical point of view. So as I mentioned before, in this initial stage, we are only stating our research problem in general way. So as I mentioned before, as a researcher, I am interested to do researching for understanding what leads to job satisfaction. So here I am not explaining my research problem in a specific way. In a general way, I am stating my research problem. So how I can specify my research problem? So for specifying my research problem, first I need to do literature review. With the help of literature review, as a researcher, I am going to specify my research problem. Okay. So the second process which comes under research process is doing literature review. Okay, why we need to do a review of literature? Okay, so since I am taking my research areas job satisfaction, as a researcher I need to get all the information that are available in the existing literature for getting insight on this particular topic. So since I selected my research research areas job satisfaction, I cannot say that I know everything that is related to job satisfaction. So for understanding the concept job satisfaction or the area called job satisfaction, I need to read literature which are existing, okay, for getting more insight on this particular research problem. Okay, so what all are the benefits of doing review of literature? So usually when you are doing literature review, you can classify the review of literature into three forms. First, you will do a literature review for understanding the concept and theory that are related to the topic which you are selected or area which you are selected. Second one, for understanding the methodology which was followed by the previous researcher. Third one, empirical literature consisting of finding in quantitative term by studies conducted in the areas. So as I mentioned before, while doing a literature review, you will be in a position to understand this concept properly and the theories that are related to the areas which you are selected. Okay. So while doing a literature review, you will be in a position to understand the gap which is existing in literature. Okay. So what is mean by research gap? Okay. Say for example, as a researcher, I need to do research on job satisfaction. Okay. So this is my area of interest, or I am going to do research on job satisfaction. So next step what I will do? I need to do literature review for understanding more about job satisfaction. Okay. So after doing an extensive literature review, I found that there are many researchers had done their research in this particular area, Mainly this discuss about emotional intelligence and job satisfaction, organizational commitment and job satisfaction, organizational behavior and job satisfaction, like many different dimension about job satisfaction. But I found there is a gap in literature review. None of the existing literature mentioned about working environment and job satisfaction. Okay, so that is the literature gap because no one discussed about this particular area, working environment and job satisfaction. So I am going to do research on this because existing literature didn't mention about this particular area of research like working environment and job satisfaction. So I identified this is my research gap and I am going to study about the working environment and job satisfaction. Okay, so usually you can find literature, academic journal, conference proceeding, government reports, books, etc. Okay. So the third step is considered as formulating hypothesis. So as I mentioned in my previous video, hypothesis is a tentative statement. Okay. And we should write in very specific form because we need to test it later. So after doing literature review, we found the gap as working environment and job satisfaction. Later, we need to specify, in this third stage, we need to specify our hypothesis. So how we will specify our hypothesis? In the previous video, we discussed about null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis and how we need to write both null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. So here we will write our hypothesis as H0 as there is no relationship between working environment and job satisfaction, and H1 as there is a relationship between working environment and job satisfaction. Okay. So we should write into very specific form because we need to test it later. Okay. So next one is research design. Okay. Next step in research process is considered as research design. So I think in the previous video we didn't discuss about research design. Usually research design is considered as a blueprint for data collection. So now we can check different types of research design. First one is descriptive research design. In a descriptive design, a researcher is solely interested in describing the situation or case under the research study. It is a theory-based design method which is created by gathering, analyzing and presenting collected data. Second one, exploratory research. Just as the word implies, it explores, that is to find out about something by answering the question in what or how manner. Third one, experimental research design. Experimental research design establishes a relationship between the cause and effect of a situation. It is a causal design where one observes the impact caused by the independent variable on the dependent variable. Fourth one, diagnostic research design. In a diagnostic design, the researcher is looking to evaluate the underlying cause of a specific topic or phenomenon. Next is sample design. So in the previous video, we discussed how we can select a sample size from a population. Okay. So if you're selecting a particular industry, first you need to know about your population. According to that population, you can select your sample. Okay. And which method you should follow for selecting sample. All this, like I mentioned, different kinds of technique for selecting about your sample size. Okay. So in this particular stage of sample design, you should decide everything, which method of sample technique you should follow, how many sample size you need, all the things you should decide in this sample design stage. Okay. So next step is collection of data. So we specified our research questionnaires for finding out the relationship between working environment and job satisfaction. So in the first stage, we only mentioned our area of interest like job satisfaction. After doing literature review, we found that there is a literature gap, like there is, none of the existing literature mentioned about working environment and job satisfaction. Then we decided, we specified our null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis and decided our research design. Now we are going to collect data for understanding the relationship between working environment and job satisfaction. Okay. So As I mentioned in my previous video, there are mainly two types of method of data collection, that is primary method and secondary method. You can follow different technique for collecting data, like as I mentioned in my previous video, like interview method. Interview method, you can go for personal interview, questionnaire method, schedule, anything you can follow for collecting the data for understanding this particular research topic. So the last process comes under research process is analysis of data. Okay. Analysis involves steps like categorization, coding, tabulation, etc. The principle for classification or categorization of data has to be based on the problem under study or the hypothesis formulator. The category must be exhaustive and sufficient for classifying all responses. They must be distinctive, separate, and mutually exclusive. Coding involves grouping of responses falling under a particular category. Tabulation is a mean of organizing the responses to facilitate comparisons, bringing up the inherent relations between two or more variables. It is an orderly arrangement of a data in column and rows. And analysis and inference is usually aided by the application of different statistical and econometric, sociometric, psychometric techniques. So in this video, I'm not explaining analysis of data in very detailed form, because first you need to know about basic statistical concept like parametric and non-parametric test, and also you should have some basic knowledge on qualitative research. And without understanding the basic statistical concept, it's very difficult to explain analysis of data. So research process also I explained from the point of view of UGC NET examination. So if you want to know more about research process and for making a research proposal, I think we can take another class after completing all our UGC NET examination syllabus. So these are the process of doing research, and as a researcher you should undergo all this process for doing an effective research. Okay. And for this week and next week, I will not be in a position to post videos every day due to personal emergency. I'm sorry for that. And thank you for watching my video. If you have any doubt, you can mail me on this mail ID, or else you can comment me below this video. So thank you.